Let's be honest, if you've ever had guests show up unannounced, you know how stressful it can be. Maybe you're in pyjamas. Maybe the house looks like it lost a bar fight. But at least your surprise visitors don't usually arrive in longships, wielding axes, and leave with the family silver. Welcome to Lindisfarne, 793 AD, the world's worst Airbnb experience. Our story begins off the northeast coast of England, on a small island that was supposed to be a peaceful retreat for pious monks who wanted nothing more than to copy Bibles, pray for your sins, and maybe produce the occasional illuminated manuscript so blindingly beautiful that it could double as a holy migraine. Lindisfarne was a quiet place, a sacred place, a place so tranquil it made a cemetery look rowdy. And then came the Vikings. The first rule of Viking Club: always make an entrance. On June 8th, 793, they showed up with zero warning, zero chill, and zero respect for monastic property rights. This was not a diplomatic mission. There were no trade agreements, no awkward small talk about weather patterns across the North Sea. No, this was smash and grab theology, Scandinavian edition. Now, let's meet the main characters. On one side, we've got the monks of Lindisfarne, peaceful, literate, celibate, and frankly unprepared for international relations conducted via axe. They had no standing army, no walls, and no real concept of defensive strategy. Their most dangerous weapon was probably passive aggression. On the other side, a crew of Scandinavian adventurers who thought pillage was a legitimate career path and that foreign policy was best practiced with fire. These weren't the horned, helmet-wearing caricatures of Hollywood. They wore helmets without horns, because practicality. But they did carry swords, spears, and absolutely zero patience for your coastal religious retreat. To the monks, the Viking arrival must have looked like the apocalypse. And to be fair, it kind of was. The raiders stormed the island, tore through the church, looted anything remotely valuable, and gave zero thought to cultural heritage preservation. Relics, gone. Gold and silver, gone. Choir schedule, also gone. They even dragged some monks off into slavery. Because why just ruin someone's day when you can ruin their decade? The attack was shocking, not just to Lindisfarne, but to the entire Christian world. It was like someone had kicked in the front door of Western Christendom and said, "Nice church." Shame if something raided it. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, never one to undersell a drama, claimed that terrible omens had appeared before the attack: lightning storms, dragons in the sky, and possibly a 2-star Yelp review from St. Cuthbert himself. That's right. St. Cuthbert, Lindisfarne's local holy celebrity, was buried there. His remains were said to be incorrupt, which made him the Beyoncé of early medieval relics. And let's just say, desecrating the final resting place of a beloved saint wasn't exactly how to win friends and influence people in 8th century Europe. It's like kicking over someone's national monument during a road trip and then asking where the snacks are. But if you think the Vikings stopped at Lindisfarne, you're adorable. This was just the trailer. Over the next several decades, they went full franchise, raiding all over the British Isles, France and beyond. Lindisfarne was their opening number, and boy, did it get the critics' attention. The news of the attacks spread like wildfire, partly because of the sheer audacity, and partly because monks were the ones writing all the history, and monks tend to get poetic when someone torches their library. So why did the Vikings pick Lindisfarne? Simple. Low risk, high reward. It was loaded with treasure, devoid of armed guards, and perfectly located right along the coastline. To a Viking, it must have looked like God left the doors unlocked and posted a sign that said, "Help yourself." It was less of a raid and more of a shopping spree with a side of sacrilege. And yet, despite the horror, the shock, and the trauma, Lindisfarne didn't vanish. The monks eventually returned, rebuilt, and kept the faith. St. Cuthbert's relics went on a bit of a road trip across northern England, and Lindisfarne would later become a symbol of Christian perseverance. Because nothing says undying devotion like coming back to the place where your brothers were murdered to try again. That's either saintly dedication or the worst real estate decision in ecclesiastical history. As for the Vikings, they kept innovating. They didn't just raid, they settled, they traded, they established kingdoms, they got Christianized, awkward, we know, and started writing sagas instead of stealing them. But it all started here. One quiet island, one very bad day, 0 souvenirs.